Fox 5 and Hot 97 present Street Soldiers with Lisa Evers.
I'm so glad you're joining me for this episode of Street Soldiers on what's hot and new in hip-hop. The world's most popular music genre is going through a creativity surge, and it's coming with lots of fringe benefits for fans, more diversity and collaborations, and definitely some new sounds. The disdain some of the newer artists have shown towards hip-hop's veteran superstars is now being replaced with mutual respect and popular collaborations. The pairings of Cordae with Q-Tip and More Life, Polo G with Lil Wayne and Gang Gang, and Young M.A. with Eminem and Unaccommodating are just some of the examples, says Hip Hop Nation host Torre.
I think it's just mutually beneficial for both sides. You know, it keeps the older artists who maybe aren't as big or as relevant in the current space. It kind of gets them to tap in with the next generation. It gives the newer artists a certain validity.
The diversity of artists who are now reaching bigger audiences is encouraging, says Chuck Creekmer. He believes hip-hop is in a great place.
I think now we're seeing some of the more thoughtful artists, the more underground artists get more mainstream and wide acceptance.
Hot 97 DJ Drewski worked with the late Pop Smoke and is known for breaking new artists.
I see, a lot of the drill music. Now they're switching it up, adding to it, having fun. You hear people singing on drill beats, and I appreciate it. They're trying to push it forward. Shout out to artists like CJ and Fabio Foreign and, of course, Pop Smoke.
While drill was like an adrenaline shot to the city, artists are showing growing versatility in what they create.
I think it's bigger than that. You have artists like Griselda who are from New York that are spitting, that got bars, and now people are paying attention and people appreciate it.
One thing hasn't changed. You still need to work hard and be consistent. Let's find out more from our panel. Joining me for this episode, Hot 97's own DJ Drewski. You can hear Drewski 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, overnights with the new at 2, that's 2 a.m., Saturday afternoon starting at 3 p.m., and the Movement Show Sunday night at 11, where he also highlights on that Sunday night show just artists from the tri-state, showing love to the tri-state here. Drewski's also a music producer and promoter and worked closely with the late Pop Smoke. He has a special talent for a recognized special talent, not just my opinion, for finding new artists who go on to do big things and pays close attention to how hip-hop fans react to songs in the clubs. Drewski, great to have you with us.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Also joining us is Torre. He's a host of Hip Hop Nation weekday mornings on Sirius XM. You also see him on Revolt TV. He's an MC himself. He's interviewed many of the big names in hip hop on air. He's also an actor and CEO of Internal Affairs Entertainment. He lives hip hop from the inside out and is deeply involved in every aspect of the culture. Torre, great to have you with us.
Lisa, my pleasure always. Great to see you again.
Thank you so much. Also joining us is Chuck Creekmer. Chuck is the CEO and founder of allhiphop.com. He's broken some of the biggest stories in the culture and covers it like no one else. He was recently inducted into the Recording Academy, joining our other co-panelist here, Torre. And that is the organization. Sounds familiar, but you might not, just so everyone knows what we're talking about here. The Recording Academy is the organization behind the Grammys. So Chuck, like Torre, is now a voting member and widely expected to bring more awareness and understanding of hip-hop culture to this prestigious organization, which, as many of you know, has been criticized in the past for being tone deaf to hip-hop and urban culture and what's really hot in our communities. Chuck, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me, and salute.
Thank you so much. Chuck, I'm going to start with you since you were just the newly inducted into the Recording Academy. What do you see happening with the state of hip hop where we're at right now?
I think hip hop's in a great space. I think it's changing so fast. I think, though, we're seeing for hip hop that we're getting back to some core values, originality, lyricism. We're really seeing respect for the older eras. We're seeing cross collaborations. We saw Conway, JID, and Ludacris on late night TV recently performing all together on the same stage and in front of a mainstream audience. So I think we're seeing some of the purer forms of hip hop rise to the top. And on the flip side, we're seeing a very pop type of rap music stay prevalent, keeping us kind of buoyant in this economy of music. in this business, if you will. I loved what we saw recently at the BET Awards. We saw everything from Megan Thee Stallion to Tyler, the Creator, and Rhapsody, MC Light, Moni Love, and I mean, so much range. And so I'm in a great space. I love hip hop overall, but I really love to see that diversity that we had in the 80s and 90s.
Torre, what about you? What do you think in terms of the range of what we're seeing now?
Yeah, just to echo what Chuck said, I think it's a great time, for hip hop with the advent of technology, social media. Obviously, you have artists that go viral on TikTok, and just as important as that is to push a record, you have people like Drewski who keep his ear to the streets of what's happening right in the really outside, not the internet outside, but really outside. So it's just a dope time, man. Chuck talked about Griselda. Their movement is huge, right? And they're doing a lot of big things and gotten recognized by some of the biggest in the game. You see Tyler, the Creator, who won a Grammy last year, kind of get back into his rapping roots with like a Gangsta Grills album, which is brilliant. He's one of my favorite artists.
Drewski, in terms of the new artists and also the audience, the audience that you have too is a very young audience. It's a new audience to hip hop. How are they feeling about what we're seeing now?
I think they're super excited because they're able to get the music from the people they listen to right away. There's no waiting for albums to drop. Your favorite artist puts a record up online and you get it instantly. So I think the fans, they love it. The only thing for me is so much music and so many artists that I feel like as an artist, you feel obligated to keep dropping records, right? You don't let a record sit long anymore. You might drop a record and 2-3 weeks later, now you got another one coming out. I feel like the music is rushed a little bit in a sense because they're trying to keep up with their fans and the listeners. But as far as the listeners go, they're excited because they're getting consumed with music. And like you mentioned earlier, we went through a rough time in 2020. And I think the music is what carried a lot of people, especially the youth and the young kids. That's all they had during the pandemic was music. But there's so much of it that even as a DJ, we get overwhelmed and trying to cipher through it. Which ones are hot? Which ones mean something to the culture? Which one is trash? So, people like us, it becomes a job trying to cipher through it. For the fans, it's the best thing ever because they just get everything they want and they're overwhelmed with it.
Stay with us. There's more to come. Chuck, let me ask you, how do artists get your attention, the attention of an allhiphop.com, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, we got to really check this person out?
It's tough. It's really hard. One thing I do is I listen to referrals of people that I know. Every now and then we'll check a DM. We check our DMs, but a lot of that is just, it's like filtering through trash or, maybe a haystack looking for the needle. But for the most part, I do a lot of referrals. If Torre tells me this guy's hot, or if Drewski tells me this person is dope, I'll give it a real listen. I'll even listen to my little cousin. He's 20 years old and he's getting old now. So he's getting referrals and then he's referring his referrals to me. So there's really no math anymore. There's really not as many publicists. I mean, that's the normal route, obviously. But, when you're looking for the gems, I think you have to really keep your ear to the street, to the digital streets as well.
Torre, what about that? We talk about the ear to the streets, but it really is the digital streets because a lot of artists getting hot off social media or getting noticed first on social media, and they go from being completely unknown. They spit some bars on a reel or on TikTok, and they blow up from that. And other people want to have them featured because the established artists want to seem hot or whatever. But how do you pay attention? Like, what artists? How do they catch your eye?
Yeah, the referral system definitely works great. I have a circle of people whose ear I respect. And so when they say a guy is hot or a young lady is killing it, that kind of skips to the top of the list for me to listen. But truth be told, I also listen to links. As long as you make it convenient for me, if it's like a SoundCloud link or something, listen, we all human. We all like to act like we so busy all the time. There's 24 hours in a day and I'm just going through SoundCloud links. You know what I'm saying? And if it's something dope, it might make its way onto SiriusXM. They also pay attention to analytics and what's trending, what's hot. Like, you don't have to have a big budget or a big label behind you to have the number one trending thing on TikTok or be in the top trending on YouTube. And so all of those things, I think all of those things play a part in it. But to really get my attention is always about the approach, you know, how you present yourself and how you present your music to me. Yo, you gotta listen to it. Definitely don't gotta. But you know what I'm saying? If you approach it the right way and if music sounds good, then you make it to the next stage.
Drewski, what about you? Because people will ask, well, how do I get my and I'm sure if I get the question, and I'm not even a DJ, you must get the question all the time. Like, Lisa, how do I get my record played on the Hot 97? It's like, how do people, like, what do you pay attention to? Give us a little secret insight into how people get your attention, how artists get your attention.
Yeah, I get that every day. You know, how can I get my record on Hot 97? But, you know, I'm lucky enough to be around a group of like DJs. You know, every day I'm in communication. Yo, what's going on around your way? Whether it's local in Brooklyn, I can hit up a DJ Magic. If you know what I'm saying, I hit up voila, yo, what's happening in Jersey? So I'm able to communicate with a lot of DJs. I get their air, but I really do research. Like Torre was saying, I'm on Shazam, seeing what's trending. Then I'll jump to Spotify. And then once you start seeing certain records and music like matching up, you go, okay, it's maybe number 20 on Spotify, but it's number 3 on Shazam. This DJ just told me about the record. It all kind of comes together. You know, that's one way when we're talking digitally, but you know, I'm outside too. Like as a DJ, I'm in the clubs, I'm in the streets. Certain records might work in the club, but not on radio. And I try to explain that to artists too. Like you might have a big record, you know, in a party, but it's not going to connect on radio at this time, you know, once it gets super hot. But I can just hear what people listen to, whether, you know, it's in their cars, whether it's on a stoop. I'm listening. Okay, what's that? Sometimes I'll be at a red light and I hear something. I'll roll my window down and say, you know, what's that? Shazam it. It's not popping up. That's someone local. How can I, you know, get in tune with that? But a lot of the artists too that I started off with early, they weren't big on digital. The Pop Smokes, the Lil TJ, the 504s, that organically started in the street before TJ became, you know, a viral streaming artist. You know, he was big in New York first. And I think, you know, just being around the youth and hearing what the kids were listening to, they kept saying Little TJ. So I said, let me pay more attention. And then, you know, I watch them grow and I help support it. So it could come different ways, but you really got to, you know, do your research in a sense where you're checking every avenue. It's just not one thing.
Drewski, I want to start with you on this in terms of the content, because we've gone through different phases in the history of hip hop where people have focused on different types of content, whether it's gangster rap, whether it's drug dealing, whether it's drug using, whether it's all the socializing, all the things that happen in relationships, sex, parties, booze, weed, all of this whole range of topics. Is there a certain theme in the content now that you see?
I think locally, right, if we're talking New York, of course, the drill music scene has took over New York, right? And that's real street, that's real, you know, violence in it. But it's also changing now. Now you have like drill R&B artists that are singing on these drill beats when you talk locally. But I feel like it's a mixture right now as far as like in hip hop in general, because you have, you know, trap soul where, you know, they're kind of talking, you know, the poverty, but they're singing in a sense. So it's like they could talk about their hustle and selling drugs, but it's in a singing way. So it sounds pretty. Then you have, you know, just the trap records. You know, you have the Lil Baby records. You have the Baby who makes party records, but still talking gangster on it. So I feel like there's just so many avenues. It's just not one type of music that's hitting. Because, you know, and of course, there's always like the violence in the music. And you're seeing a lot of these young artists now getting indicted or going to jail, you know, free Pooh Shiesty, free 504. And you got a lot of these young guys that are either, you know, getting hurt because of the music or ending up in jail. But I feel like that has always been the case in hip hop. And, you know, you see it now and everyone feels bad, but I'm like, yo, this has been going on, you know, since the beginning.
Right, and it's not the music, it's the actual society that we're in. Those issues and those bigger issues. Chuck, in terms of there were some people that criticized kind of the genre mixing of hip hop, feeling that it kind of diluted the culture. And when you see the diversity that's out there now, is there strength in the diversity, or is it taking away from what hip hop should really be about?
No. There's definitely strength in the diversity, and I think that what we're going to need to see from hip hop is that range of content, not just the sounds, but the actual content. And personally, I've kind of done that. You know, I've been really making my mission to hear something other than the violence, other than the drug dealing, other than, the stripper bars. Just some stuff. We have I said it earlier, a really vibrant culture, and it doesn't limit itself to just sex and violence and things that are detrimental to the community. And I'm not trying to get on a soapbox or anything, but it's really,
It's okay. It's street soldiers.
yeah, it's actual facts. Even if you're in the worst conditions, there is beauty in those spaces.
Teray, what are your thoughts on the content?
Yeah, I mean, also I kind of put the onus on us in this space in the media, to try to do things to elevate the artists that are creating that kind of music. I'm a big fan of what they're doing over there at Dreamville, from Earth Gang to JID to Boss and Kaz. Obviously J. Cole, but he's a household name. But just that whole entire brand and what they represent and the music that they put out. There's a new artist that you'll be hearing about, Sandy Benjamin, who is super talented, very lyrical, but also puts a lot of content in the music. Obviously, people know my brother Sky Zoo. He just put out an incredible project. Talking about the way he's seeing his neighborhood in Brooklyn become gentrified and what that's like to be a father. And also, congratulations to you, Drewski, and your lady. So there are artists who are putting content in the music. I like what Moray is doing. It's melodic, but it's really telling the hardships,
Yes.
but in a way that is really easily digestible. Same with Rod Wave. That Soulfly. It's almost like gospel music. It's like a hip hop version of gospel without being Christian rap. So, I think with our platforms, we need to continue to figure out ways to help push these artists forward, elevate them.
Drewski, what about the content? Because it's like you look at films, you look at videos, streaming videos. The TV shows, the most popular ones, have to do with crime. They have to do with drugs. They have to do with, there's some aspect of sex in it as well. So is it fair to expect hip hop to be better than that?
I think people expect more substance, but then also they want numbers, right? So from a personal experience, right, as a producer, and I'm producing records with these young artists, and we go to shoot a music video, and I start seeing the guns come out. And I'm thinking, my brand, I said, no, we don't need the guns. The director says, listen, Drewski, the more guns in the video, the more views it gets. The kids love seeing it. We're going to keep the guns in the videos. And I'm like, damn, I feel a little bit responsible for the image, but I know the director, I know the artist, they're doing favors for me. They want to get the numbers. They want to get the views. And I'm like, is this really what the kids want? So I sat there with the director. I said, yo, you sure? Because these are not even, these might be real guns. And they're like, listen, I do this for a living. All these hip hop videos, they love it. They still love the half naked women. They love the violence. I'm like, yo, how do we, as influencers, as people, part of the culture, how can we shift it? How can we change it? How can we show a different side and still say, look, this gets numbers too?
Chuck, what do you think about that? Because violence is number one in videos. Video games. It's number one in the box office in a lot of films.
Yeah, that's American cultures for you. So we've always done that. Cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians. The Godfather, Scarface. It goes on and on and on. And I'm not saying we don't have to exterminate that from the culture.
Right. Or sugarcoat it or deny that it's happening. Right.
Right. I just say that we need to just see more of the other stuff, more of the beauty, more. I don't even want to sound corny about it. If you think about A Tribe Called Quest and, Bonita Applebaum, any A Tribe Called Quest record, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just using them as an example. There's literally artists right now that have that flavor.
Right.
They don't get the love that Tribe got. And so that's really all I'm saying. I'm literally extremely content with music right now. Like, I don't even want to get it.
That's good. This is a new place. This is a good spot.
Yeah, but Spotify does not necessarily put these artists in their playlist. You have to really go looking for them. And I just think, I'm a father, you know what I mean? I know that sounds corny, but there's no edits anymore. There's no, a lot of this stuff that's hitting the radio, it just, I don't know. I just don't feel like it's necessarily good for the culture or for the kids.
For the kids, all right. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on what's hot and new in hip-hop. You can share this episode and watch it again on our Fox 5 NY YouTube page. Remember, use your mind, it's your best weapon. I'm Lisa Evers. Let's push for peace, love, and justice for all.